pẹ̀lú kẹ́tẹ́kẹ́tẹ́. Ó dàbí mọ́tò tí wọ́n ń gùn lọ sóde. Ẹ̀sìn pẹ̀lú kẹ́tẹ́kẹ́tẹ́ láyé ọjọ́ yẹn. Ó dàbí mọ́tò tí wọ́n ń gùn lọ sóde. Kẹ́tẹ́kẹ́tẹ́ ti dàgbà. Bàbá pẹ́ lọ́mọ ẹ̀, wọ́n bá múra òde, wọ́n fẹ́ rìnrìn àjò kan. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí àgbàlagbà, bàbá kú kẹ́tẹ́kẹ́tẹ́, ọmọ rẹ̀ ń tẹ̀lé lọ. Wọ́n pàdé àdàmọ̀.
Just a minute. Could we have the camera, the headroom? Yeah, if we can push the camera backward.
Okay, I'll do that now.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it better?
Yes, much better. Thank you, Daddy and Mommy.
Yeah.
How are you today, ma?
We are good. And you?
I think we need to push it back a bit so that we can see both of you very well. Yeah, we need to push it back a bit. Yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Yes, well, it's good evening from Lagos, Nigeria. I don't know what time it is there, but I think it must be afternoon where you are.
It's 3 o'clock here in Canada.
It's 3 o'clock your time. Oh, fantastic. You are welcome on this program. The usual practice is before we start, we'll play music that we know you love. And so we're going to play you Baba Ebenezer Obey, Edumare Sọ̀rọ̀ Mi Dayọ̀. Wait. Ma, did you say something, ma?
No, sir.
That's fine. Okay, good. Thank you, ma. Thank you, Daddy.
Yes, sir.
Mo dúpẹ́. Hallelujah.
Ìdùmarè sọ̀rọ̀ mi dayọ̀. Olúkúlùkù kì í ṣe tèmi èmi ló pẹ́. Ìbànújẹ́ kò sí lára mi ò mú wá ṣọpẹ́. Olúkúlùkù kì í ṣe tèmi ò
Ẹ mú bẹ́ẹ̀. Good. Let me greet you in our language. Eka lesa, eka lema. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, inú mi dùn púpọ̀ láti rí yín. Inú mi dùn púpọ̀ láti rí yín. It's a great honor, and I'm very happy especially seeing our daddy and mommy together at once. That's what the Yorubas call Afi Okuko, Afi Peye Meji. It's such a privilege. It's such a privilege. So I will do a quick introduction, though I expect you to introduce yourselves further. But this is a very special occasion for us. And so I will start with our daddy. Bishop Felix-Adejumo is the founder and senior pastor of the Agape Christian Ministries worldwide. I used to hear Agape when we were in school in those days. An anointed preacher of the gospel. He is in demand at conferences and seminars worldwide. A pastor to the core, Bishop Adejumo is noted for his peculiar love in encouraging people to be their best in life. He believes nothing is impossible. His soft-spoken nature has endeared many to him, and the wisdom he portrays in his teachings and conversations has made him a man of known repute. Papa, as he is fondly called, has a great burden for leadership and fires from all cylinders when talking to leaders about leadership. And I mean, I'm someone who is very, very, very interested in issues of leadership, especially in Africa. So you can see why I'm so excited that Papa has joined us tonight. Happily married to Mrs. Funke Felix-Adejumo, his wife of over 30 years. They are blessed with 4 biological children, 8 grandchildren, and numerous adopted children. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you. That's a very, very good one. And then to our mommy, Mrs. Funke Felix-Adejumo is the president of Funke Felix-Adejumo Foundation. She's an accomplished preacher and teacher with deep insight into God's word. Her unique unction and utterance have endeared her to the hearts of the myriad of people that have listened to her at conferences and seminars around the world. And I can tell you, Mommy, my wife, I mean, she's watching every second right now. She's watching you. I told her I spoke with you earlier on today with Daddy, and she was very jealous. Yes, she is the convener of Mothers Summit and Women on the Winning Edge Conference. She's a certified life coach, global conference preacher. She has a great passion for womanhood with a divine purpose on earth, honoring God and blessing humanity. This vision has transformed into many works such as the established Grace Orphanage, another Chance Home, a safe haven for abused women, and other great works that God is doing through her. Our foundation is dedicated to making worldwide impact with a special call to restoring dignity to womanhood and equipping women from all over the world. She has authored over 70 books. Wow, even me that I'm a professional writer, I've authored only 3 books. Wow. With titles such as 50 Lessons Life Taught Me, My Seed is Designed for the Palace, Beauty for Ashes, Marriage is for Destiny, and many others. Thank you, Mommy and Daddy, for joining us tonight. I mean, I've read as much as I could on you, and only God can repay your sacrifice, your huge sacrifice for humanity. So I will start with Daddy. If you could just kindly introduce yourself to our viewers. A lot of our young people nowadays, you know how it is. We're in a different generation. But we thank God that this period we are all home and everybody is watching. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Chief, thank you so very much for inviting us on this call. You have done all the, I don't even know what to say again. You have In fact, it's like, who is he talking about? Who is he talking about? The introduction is superb. The introduction
Thank
is
you.
perfect. I want to say thank you. And just Felix-Adejumo, the husband of Funke, Felix-Adejumo. And then, just like everything you said, that is just it. And then, of course, it's a privilege to be with you tonight.
Thank you, Daddy. I would want you to tell us about your life from the beginning, where you were born, the schools you attended, the experiences that prepared you for today's journey.
Well, I want to say thank you so very much.
Yes.
If there is no story, there is no glory. You can only understand the future if you have history of the past events. The beauty of life is to know that you started somewhere and that you are somewhere right now and that you are going somewhere. I was born into a polygamous house, a polygamous family. My father, late now, he lived up to about 100 plus before he died. He was a farmer and also a carpenter. And then my mom, yes, and then also later in life, my dad became the king of our hometown. Don't ask me where I come from.
So that is a prince.
Yeah.
I am a prince, but I'm a prince, and I'm from Ororua, from in Osun State. So I was born in the village. Really, I was born in the village. I schooled in the village for some time. My mom happened to be the first wife, and she had 4 of us, and so I happened to be the last born of the family. And I had the opportunity of going to school in the village. So I attended the first school, which is a primary school, at age 6. And then I moved out at age 9 to join my sister, to stay with my sister. First of all, I was with her at Ikire. I also attended another primary school. So we moved to Ibadan. And then I came to Ibadan in 1964. And then from there, I've been there. I schooled in Ibadan and all that before eventually I moved out again. I went to about 5 primary schools. I finished 5 primary schools, because my sister happened to be a teacher. So anytime she moves, I move with her. So I finished at 1 primary school at Molete, St. Anthony's Primary School, Molete, Ibadan. That's where I finished. My school is just almost directly opposite Dr. Luloyo's house. Then,
in Molete.
Yes, that's where I finished my primary school in 1966. Then my journey started, and so on. I went to secondary school, and I finished. I went about 3 secondary schools. I again moved to my brother, who was also a teacher. So I finished at Bumasho High School at the end of the day. And then I did my A-levels at home. I was already working. I started to work from age 18 when I finished school start. And so I was already earning salary. I was working with the Ministry of Lands and Housing. And then so I was earning £22.10 as at that time. And then eventually I did my A-levels at home. I attended the University of Ibadan extramural classes, and I did well. And I again joined another company after my A-levels as a town planning officer. And so I worked for many years before eventually I went to the University of Ibadan to study geography. And then work of the ministry started in full-time ministry eventually. And then I combined it with business. So I have served under so many people. I've served as a pastor. I've served as a deacon, just an assistant to my pastor for 10 years before I moved out of Ibadan. And then God spoke to us to move to Akure, where the base of the ministry is till today. And then from Akure, we reached the world. And so we have about 35 branches all over. And the ministry is about 32 years now. The church is about 32 years now. My marriage to Funke is 36. It's going to be 36 years in September 8th. Our marriage will be 36 years. I got married at the age of 30. I got married at the age of 30. So I'm 66 now, so our marriage is going to be 36. I think that's the journey so far. I've served under so many people, several people. I've learned a lot from people. I've learned a lot in life. Life has taught me a lot of lessons. So people contributed to my making.
An internet flicker just now. Yeah.
We noticed.
So your teachings, Daddy,
Yeah,
are born out of your wealth of experience in life. They are practical lessons of life.
yes, please. Yes, that's it. Because I've gone through a lot. I went through a lot. I have tasted the two sides of the world now, the two sides of life. I know what poverty is. So that's why when I see people who are poor, people who are suffering, I can easily identify with them and help them because I know what it means to go to school barefooted. I know what it means to go to school with the leftovers in the night as lunch in the following day. I know what it takes not to take rice once in a year. If we are going to take rice at all in my family, then it will be once in a year, and beans once in a year during Christmas. So I know what it means to suffer. So I have suffered. And then I thank God I didn't die in my suffering. And even though I cannot change my history and my past, but at least I decided to change what happens in my life. And I see a future with a positive perspective. And that is the reason why I'm able to impact many others, that it does not matter what you are going through. Yes, you are bound to overcome. Because if God could see me to this level and helped me to this level, there is no one's case that is bad. With God, all things are possible.
Now, with the number of years you have spent in your ministry, could you tell me some of the challenges that you've encountered being a man of God?
Life is full of ups and downs, valleys and mountains, but in it all, God is always with us. God is always with us. And then he promised that I will not leave you, I will not forsake you. And if you go on a trip and God is missing, then your life will be miserable. But if you are on a trip and it is rough and you know that God is there, definitely the wind and that rain that is falling will lose the storm will lose its rain and power. So definitely it will be over one day. So there are some of the difficulties that we encountered in ministry was one, for people to believe in us. That's the first thing. It was difficult for people to believe in us, especially where we were then, where we started, at that time, there was nothing like contemporary Pentecostal churches. We started that movement as it were, as at that time. So because of the doctrines that we met on ground, we were resisted. So the first thing we found, we were rejected even. We faced rejection. We were resisted and we faced rejection. We were condemned. A lot of things worked against us, but God saw us through. It took time for them to believe in us. Some people even campaigned against us. Some people even raised a lot of issues against us, which are expressed in the public. Then number two challenge was people. People are assets and people are also liabilities. The greatest challenge I feel, apart from what I mentioned, that is faith in what we were doing, was people. We had a lot of problems with people, not because they wanted to do some of the things they did, but they had to do it because, God can use people as sandpapers. If your life is not smooth, God will use people to sandpaper you. And if God is going to, God uses people actually to bring pains. And then God also uses people to bring succor and strength. So the reason why I say people is because we need them, but we cannot do without their idiosyncrasies and their problems. So, and since we are dealing with people, a lot of them came up with issues, but we thank God. God gave us victory on that. Then another one is finance. Where we were, it's like Akure as at that time, Ondo State as at that time, was like a glorified town. Not, I won't say village. No, it's not a village, but a glorified town. It's not a metropolitan city up to today. And so the economy is was very poor at that time. As at that time, they were even owing workers. And the economy surrounds the government. So if the government is not paying, then there's no money in the hands of people. So definitely there was problem with cash flow. And so people couldn't afford so many things. So even when they come to church, there's nothing to give. And you can't force people to give. I remember one man of God who came to me after some time he told me, he said he couldn't stay any longer because people were not giving. People were not paying anything. And so he said he was moving to Lagos. And I said, my case is different because I didn't come for the money. I didn't come for the offering. I didn't come for what they are going to give or what they are going to offer me. I came so that we help them. And so many people left. A lot of my contemporaries actually left me at Akure, and my wife, the two of us, we faced it. We were able to face it. We were patient. And at the same time, we endured it. And then people began to respond to the words we teach, and their lives began to reflect it. So their finances got better. And then we could also see it also in what they were willing to offer. So, and we thank God. And then also, I don't believe in you being a pastor and you are not doing anything with it. I've always believed that if you are called of God, then do your ministry, help people, but I'll say also have a source of livelihood, have something that you are doing. So we have been doing business all along. And I'm a businessman. I am a full-time pastor. I'm a full-time businessman. And my business acumen is very sharp. I have business brain, and I can turn things around. And so that's the secret of where we are today. If you have to base it on what the church can give us, the church cannot even fund our expenses. That is the truth. We have from today, by God's grace, we have built hospitals. We have 2 hospitals. We have one in our village, a very big one, and we also have one in Akure. We have 2 hospitals now, and we are the ones running those hospitals. We are the ones paying the salaries. I'm too sure you know that there's no way we can get such money from the church to run such. And we have not been going to church for anything to run those hospitals. We have other businesses that we are doing. I'm a farmer. I like farming. I love farming. I was born in the village, so I love farming so much. And I have acres of land for farming. I have poultry, big poultries. I have piggery. I have different kinds of things. I even have rabbits at home. Wow. I raise rabbits. I do different kinds of things, to be able to make money. Fertilizer. And I also supply fertilizers. If you want to buy fertilizers, I can move it to you wherever you want it to move. You want to move it to. I do all of these things. Water. And then we also do water business. We process water. So all of these things are things that we do. And
wow, this is what we call onokon woja.
You got it.
Wow, I wish there are many pastors watching this program tonight, because this for me is revealing that the emphasis on prosperity sometimes puts a lot of people off from churches, because you come and everything is about you must donate whether you have, you don't have it, just donate. So this is a practical example of what pastors can do, that being a pastor does not mean that you should be jobless or you should not do any business. Wow. Yeah, I'm very happy to hear this this evening. Now you get to meet a lot of different people. what are some of the things that they come to you for? Apart from people coming to beg for money, so what are the kind of issues that you are able to resolve for the people who worship with you?
Okay. Well, thank God for God's wisdom. I know people have issues ranging from marital issues to financial issues, and some health issues, and some relationship issues, not even marital, but other relationships. And some, there are some who have problems with their career that will come for counseling or courses that they do. Some people will cry for help in many areas, but let me just mention one because of my time. You have been asked, you have been speaking and speaking. I want my wife to speak, but many of the marital issues we have, how to resolve conflict. In the course of our teachings here today, we will tell people what causes conflicts or frictions at home and how to resolve those frictions. Because so many people are wondering, your marriage is like made in heaven. Yeah, it was approved by God, and God helped us to get to where we are. But that does not mean that we are perfect. We also have issues. And then, so I have counseled many people who have marital issues, and then many of them have recovered. But, Chief, can I say this? To the glory of God, even though many marriages are going through hazards today in our generation, but to the best of my knowledge, the people that we pastor, majority of them are still staying with their spouses. In other words, the divorce rate in our own ministry is in fact zero. It's nil. And we have many leaders, and they have been married for many years. Reason is because they have a place to go where issues are discussed and then they are resolved. And so I handle such issues. I've seen somebody who one time had issue with his wife, and then the wife ran out to go and inform me about it. And then the man ran after his wife. He said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to daddy. I'm going to daddy." In fact, he begged and begged and begged. But the woman still said, "I'm still going to reach daddy." So immediately the woman came in, he followed after. So there was no problem again. So since already you know that you already offended this woman, say sorry. And then that was how it started. So we have seen people who are from other ministries who are, honestly speaking, Chief, I cannot deceive you. People are suffering. Especially women are being abused. And most of these women who are being abused, many of them don't have the opportunity of hearing from men why some of them are being abused. But there's no reason for any woman to be abused, for goodness sake. But some of these women who get abused, many of them, if we have the opportunity of talking to them, maybe they will know what to do to avoid all this abuse. But there are some men that are very difficult. There's nothing you can do to please them. They will still go ahead to abuse their wives. And it's a sign of madness to me. It means that somebody is sick, because you can't be abusing your wife, either verbally, psychologically, or physically, and you still say to me you are a man, and that you are the husband, and that you are the head of your family. I don't think it's normal for a man to do that. I have not raised a finger against my wife. That does not mean that we have not had frictions in the past. But I feel that for me, it reduces my ego as a man to raise my finger against my wife.
To beat a woman.
Yeah, to beat a woman, and also to even abuse my wife, to call her Olori Buruku or Oloshi or Riedaru, Aborie Ope. Such languages will never come out of my mouth against my wife, because I feel that she's the image of God. And then number two, she loves me enough to be able to say, "I want to marry you." And then she changed her name to my own name. And at the same time, she has done, at least she has done many things that are good, that I commended in the past. Why not remember those things? And then, is it because of one little thing now that I'm now beginning to use against her? I don't want to do that. It's not that I'm perfect. I'm not an angel, but I think that I am an example for many men that, you know, you don't have to be a fool to rule your house, because only fools abuse their wives. And it's not the best at all for women to be abused. So many issues, even ministerial, many issues ministerial. There are some people who have issues with the ministry, and they have to come. Many people are under pressure, and that's they go to occultic world to seek for power because of breakthrough, because of I've handled many cases, and I have told them that that's not the way of God. It's the way of destruction. You know, when you think that God is late and you have waited and waited and waited and waited and things are not forthcoming. Now, this world is being governed by laws. Once you break the law, you will see the repercussion. Law govern the world. And so many people don't know that if they do not obey those laws, that they won't get the result they desire. And if you don't operate on principles, yes, it is good to pray. But when you pray and you are not operating on principles, on laws, definitely you won't get results. So many people are frustrated. So a lot of issues come to me. And I think I have done a little that I can remember, except there is anything in particular.
Okay, before I go to Mommy, you just mentioned one word that I had wanted to talk about, the occultic world. Have you ever been threatened in the course of your ministry by men of the occultic world?
Yes, but one thing is this. Nobody has confronted me physically before, but I had seen arrows in the past, but God did not allow these arrows to affect us. I have had people say that they mentioned our names in certain quarters, but we don't treat it as important because that is not our focus. We don't pursue, we are not pursuing the raft. We are not pursuing anything. We are not chasing after wind. We are focused. We are more, because we know that there is positive energy and there is negative energy. Whatever you feed into yourself, that is the energy you will express. So if people tell you negative things about you, if people bring negative news about you, and you don't believe, in fact, I don't believe, and you don't believe in it, why exercise negative energy towards it? What I do is that I know that if anything happens, if they mention our name anywhere or they do anything against us, you can't see some of these things. When they do it, since they do not have impact on us and on our children, it means that the God of heaven, who said the enemies shall not exact upon you, nor the sons of wickedness afflict you, he's still on the throne and he's been watching over us. His glory is our covering, and then that glory is our defense. So I know the occult world is in existence, and I know that there are powers that be, but the name of Jesus, he is superior to any other name, and the name of Jesus, and Jesus, the power in the name of Jesus can swallow up any power that is existing. I don't believe in those powers. I believe in God, and God has been very faithful.
Wow, thank you so much, Daddy. And now to Mommy.
Yeah.
I would like for you to tell us your background, also from school to date.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
We really appreciate this privilege and this honor. And we want you to know that you are a huge blessing to our world. Like my husband told you earlier on.
Thank you, ma'am.
We spoke with you.
Yeah.
You are a generational blessing.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
We've loved Ovation for ages. Please know that you are a blessing and an inspiration to many.
Right.
Only eternity will reveal to you the impact that your life has made upon people.
Wow.
And
Thank you.
I want to thank God for your wife that's released you to be a blessing to our world and your children. We are grateful that they are sharing you with all of us. You can't have two Dele Momodus.
No.
So,
thank you, ma'am.
So we thank God. We thank God for you. You are a blessing, sir.
Thank you,
I must
ma'am.
say that there was a time my husband and I were in Ghana and we had to visit one restaurant, you understand? The Amala, the Ewedu.
The House of Ovation. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well done.
Wow. Thank you,
Bless
ma'am. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, ma'am.
Thank you. I am Itunu Funke Felix-Adejumo. I was born January 28, 1963 to Pa Joshua Amukpito Ihemekayi. I love my father's name, you know that middle name. And then Madam Rebecca Ihemekayi. I am now the first because the two that were before me, they are dead. I'm now the first of 8. And I went to St. Paul's Primary School, Oduono, Ibadan. I was born in Ibadan. I went to St. Paul's Primary School, Oduono, Ibadan. And when it was time to go to secondary school, I should have maybe attended St. Anne's or Yejide and all that. But my father used me to score a point. And it was so painful because we didn't know the village, you know, so he wanted to tie. He said he didn't want his children to forget the village. So he took me to the village to go school. Well, it's past now, but eventually I finished my secondary school, Baptist High School, Ekeriade, formerly in Kwara State, now Kaba, in Kogi State. Then I came back to Ibadan and I attended Oyo State College of Education, Wesley campus. Then at a point in time, we were transferred to either Oyo or Ila. You know, they had to do balloting. So I picked Ila. So I finished in Ila. The remaining one session, finished in Ila. Came back, then I did my degree, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I studied English language. I've been doing my master's for, Lord, I think laziness. Somebody's laughing at me here. But as the Lord leave it, I shall complete it. It's because I have done other courses. I met Felix-Adejumo. I was attending a fellowship at Molete in Ibadan. So I got born again 1978. So I'll go to fellowship. I'll go very early, just before service will start. So go and sweep. I love to sweep, clean the church. And then while sweeping, I will notice this particular man in one corner. He will be on his knees praying. His shirt will be wet. And I was always asking myself, what's the problem? Problem with the man, and all that. Eventually, when we came together, I asked him, why were you always praying? And your shirt will be wet. And he said to me, I was always praying for my pastor. I didn't know he would become a pastor. You see the way God works. Oh my God. And the pastor didn't even know that he was praying for him. Anyway, August 30, 1982, he drove to my house. It was at the University of Ibadan. He drove to my house and proposed marriage to me. His father was being coronated a king. He was being crowned a king. So he left. And September 8, 1982, that's 1 week, I gave him an answer. And I said, okay, I'll marry you. Once he was smashing handsome man. I'm telling you something.
He is still very handsome, man.
I'm saying at 56. So exactly 2 years after, September 8, 1984, we got married in the Baptist Church. And God blessed us, like you know. And then after we had our first child, he's a boy, now he's married, with 2 kids. My husband comes home and tells me that we were relocating to Akure. I said, excuse me? No. You can't be serious, honestly. What? He said the Lord had impressed it into his heart that he was going to Akure, and his boss at work had confirmed it that he was going to be on transfer so he could go and start the Akure branch of the company. I just said to him, well, hitherto the Lord has helped us. We had one child. I was pregnant. I said, now you have become a weekend husband. The Lord goes with you. Bye. So for about 3 months, he was going to Akure and coming back for the weekend. I refused to go. Why will I? I've never been to Akure except once, and to me it looked like a village at that time. I said, no, God is not wicked. He can't uproot us from Ibadan and take us to that. No. Then number 2, I don't believe in ministry at all. We're not ministry materials. Don't even try me. No. We're going to stay in a church. We're going to be serving the Lord. We're born again, and all that. So for 3 months. And then this day comes, I picked a book and I was reading it on marriage. And I saw a particular paragraph. As a child of God, if your husband comes home and announces his transfer to a more rural place, will you throw temper tantrums? I knew God was speaking. My God, I burst into tears, and all that. Do you know, Chief, that I still have the book? I have read it again and again. I still cannot find that passage, that paragraph. I still cannot find it. So I knew I needed to go with my husband to Akure. It was an encounter. So we had a baby, a second child. She was 3 weeks old. So we took a son and a daughter and then went to Akure. Man, I cried like I've never cried in my life. For months, I was crying. What am I doing here? You knew the number of people that had cars, that owned cars. This is 1987. Akure was not what it is today. It was tough. It was tough. And then here we are in Akure trying to settle in little by little, I got a teaching job and we had 2 kids. Eventually I said, okay, this is life. Every weekend we must go to Ibadan. Every weekend. Every Thursday, they will back on Monday. Yeah. The number of bushmeat we killed between Akure and Ibadan in this life. Oh my God. So this day, my husband comes and then he says, we're starting a ministry. I said, please don't do this, darling. Please. Don't do this. I beg of you. I love my private life. I hate to be backbeaten. I hate to be in the public eye. Anyway, here we are. We started fellowship in our living room with 2 converts. His mechanic and a colleague that we were teaching together in one nursery and primary school. So, little by little, the day we were 10 or we were 13, after the meeting, my husband and I will remove the chairs, we will roll on the floor and all that. And then sometimes I will be very low. I will say, are you sure God called you? I don't think so. When he's high and I'm low, when he's low and I'm, somehow. And then he comes home and he says, now we're starting a church. I said, but this is fellowship. I had a shop. After my job, pack this, give to people. Oh, I thank God because God is a rewarder. So the church started, and here we are.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Let me just add this, Chief. We used to sell kerosene and gari, yam,
rice, different things.
Yes, palm oil. And she used to be in the shop. And then I'll go to work and come and meet her with the ministry that we were doing. We were still doing church.
Because my husband vowed that we will not touch the offering.
No.
He vowed
not to abuse people.
He said we will not touch 3 things: the girls, the gold, and the glory. So we were living, and we are still in we are full-time business people and full-time ministers of the gospel.
Tell them about the Okrika things that we used to wear. Because,
you know,
wow.
Even when we're getting married, my husband told me that he would not depend on his family members. Although he's the last one, he said categorically to me, whatever we can afford, that's what we're going to do. We're not going to buy anything on credit. Do you know, Chief, that it was at our reception, while people were greeting us, how they greet, and they will give you an envelope. My husband will pass the envelope to the best man. When it was 80 naira, this is September 8, 1984. When it was 80 naira, the best man gave the money to a trusted friend that ran to the market to go get us the mattress we will sleep on. I can't forget, body foam, green color. We didn't have a mattress. We had the bed, but we didn't have a mattress. So it was that reception money that, so by the time we got home, the mattress was already there. Yes, was there. And when we even started the ministry, 2 young kids, I was a teacher earning 150 naira. Later it became 180. My husband was earning 400 naira. And we had to give offering, we had to give to the church, we had a copper in church, we had to pay and all that. So we didn't have clothing, we didn't have dresses. So my husband and I, we would go to Okirika markets where those Hausa men sell suits. Is it suits or jackets? No, coats. Coats. So I will stand outside, we're pastors. So I will stand outside and he will just go under like this. I'll be hearing here and the outside men say, he'll be fitting and fitting. Church members, maybe how many were we? Will be passing. Sister Funke, how are you? I say, I bless you, ma, I bless you. I say, I'm waiting for somebody. I dare not say my husband. If my husband sees that somebody was talking to me, he will not talk. So when the person has passed, I will make a sign. Darling, the coast is clear. So he will come out. Yes.
Come out now.
Yes, that one, yes, that one. So we'll take that, buy sunlight soap, that's what he's going to use to preach on Sunday. And he will preach as if, I wasn't preaching, I didn't know how to preach. He taught me how to preach. He would tell me, sit down. Point 1, point 2, point 3.
Wow.
The first time I preached in church, one man hissed and went out. Oh, Barry, glory, joy, shame. And my husband said, come preaching, come preaching. He taught me to preach. That's why I always say any honor I give to Felix-Adejumo. He didn't earn it. It's not a gift to him. He earned it. Because that time, Akure didn't believe in women's ministry.
Women preachers.
My husband started it. It's on record. He started it. He pushed me. He allowed me. He called forth what was on my inside. I didn't even know that I had anything on my inside. Do you know that after I had my NCE certificate, before I had my NCE certificate, my husband said to me, when I listen to you, you are very brilliant. You need to go back to school. I said, my parents are poor. My brother had died. My father had sold everything. We had become poor. There's no way I will go back to school. Then I said, I don't understand mathematics. When I was in secondary school, my Indian teacher, when she comes in this way, I go that way. My husband began to teach me. We were not married. He was my friend. He taught me median, this one, that one. He drove me in his Volkswagen car. I think it was in part 2. He drove me to the exam hall, waited for me. I wrote the exam. I passed and I gained admission. In my village, they say the person that didn't allow you to die is superior to the person that allowed you to be wealthy. Because if you had died, you will not be wealthy. So Felix-Adejumo is a pillar, in my life. I thank God for it. He's not perfect. We still have our whatever.
No, not at all.
You know, we still
No,
but in 35 years, he has never, ever shouted at me. Not once. Had never used a foul language on me. He is good with, should I tell them, silent treatment when he's upset. And we have to break the ice every time, and that upsets me a lot. But we're better now. We're better. 35 years. Our nest is empty. We still have one daughter, you know, that is yet to be married. So we're back to when we started. We're friends. So this is a journey.
Wow. So how did you grow into attracting so many women? I'm interested in that because they swear by you that anybody who loves are married, especially women. You know, men can still do shakara a bit, but the women, sometimes, I'm sorry, with due respect to women, you know, sometimes women may not even know what they want. You want a husband, you want a husband. You marry a husband, you leave a husband, it's not working, you go away. Then when you are almost 60, you are looking for a husband again. And I'm wondering if husband was that important. So why did you leave? You know, I don't know if you can address that, man.
Okay, when I was born, rather than rejoice, people cried for my parents. They told my father, a girl? Why would you have a girl? This is the third girl. They cried physically rather than say, it was tears. Joshua, my shield. My father told me this. When it was time to go to school, they told him not to bother because I was going to be pregnant in school. And if I didn't get pregnant, I will get married one day and change my name. So what's the point? My father's last name, which is my maiden name, is Ihimekaye, Erohimiokaye. My news goes round the world. So my father says every time he looks at me, something tells him that this is the girl that will carry your name round the world. This Ihimekaye, this is it. So no money. Everywhere. 6 years, sold everything. And one Sunday afternoon, he died. So we became poor. So my father goes to his boss and says, I want to retire. The man says, what for? My father says, because my daughter just gained admission to secondary school and I need to pay her fees. The man said, you are mad. Did I hear you say your daughter or you mean your son? My father said, my daughter, you are crazy. Get out of my office. You're going to waste your money on a girl? My father insisted. After, whatever, he retired, collected his gratuity, paid my fees, bought mattress, bought soap, bought this, paid my fees. 2 weeks after, his boss calls him back and says, you challenged me, you inspired me. Take your job, take back your job. But when it is now time for retirement, there will be no gratuity. The day my father told me this story, he said, now, Funke, you are my gratuity and you are better than 7 years. So I'm saying all this story to let you know where I'm coming from. So why will I not be passionate about women? Why will I not be passionate about women? I've seen it all. And to now be married to a man that is, I can almost say, is feminist in terms of my husband believes in the girl child. We have 2 boys and 2 girls. He believes in the girl child. He believes that there is nothing a boy should have that the girl should not have. And our society makes women feel when you are born as a girl child, for instance, of an African girl child, you have a minimum of 11 barriers to cross. Minimum.
11 barriers.
Minimum. Historical, geographical, cultural, religious, environmental. You know, you have to deal with this. And a lot of women go through stuff. And some men are not. I heard that there is a culture in this world. I don't want to mention. It's a very popular culture. When their men wake up, this is how they pray. Lord, I thank you that you did not create me as a woman or a dog. That's how they pray. So the woman is to be sane if she's sane, but never hurt. So I'm very passionate about this. No woman is inferior. No. We are different, but we're not inferior, we're not superior to the man. And marriage should not make a woman to feel less than who she was created to be. Submission is not slavery. Submission is not subjugation. The covenant of life is superior to the covenant of marriage. So that you are married should not make you feel that you are useless. And that is why I'm an advocate of women empowerment. No woman, for whatever reason, should allow her economic life to be 100% dependent on her husband. No man wants a liability. Every man wants an asset. So even if your husband is wealthy, so wealthy, he doesn't want you to work, do something with your life. Have investments, passive investments. While you are home, maybe you have a child that is autistic, you can't go out to work, you're a full-time wife, but do something. Your father did not send you to school to be a full-time housewife. Do something with your life. Contribute. My husband says the child you nurture will nourish you in the evening of your life.
Wow.
So
the child you nurture
yes,
will nourish
you. So
wow.
it's important for every woman to be economically empowered. The reason, you know, I have a home like you read, Chief, for abused women, where they can come and just be safe while we see how we can reconcile them and all that for about 6 months. I remember one lady, when our criminologist was interviewing her, she said, anytime there was any friction or misunderstanding, the man would say, kneel down, you goat, you pig, face the wall and raise your 2 hands up. Marriage relationship. And this did not happen in my village, it happened in Lagos. And after 15 minutes, the man would say, stand up, go and fix something for me. And when you are done, clean up and go and wait for me in my room. So she was asked, so why are you in that abusive relationship? She says, I don't have anything. I can't get a house. I can't get, how will I, you see? So that's one of the reasons I'm an advocate. You as a woman, you must do something with your life. Anything can change. My cousin was 36 before she got married, and she was married to a Nigerian soldier, an accountant with the Nigerian army, beg your pardon. He wasn't a soldier, an accountant with the Nigerian army. My cousin was a big woman at UCH in Ibadan. And on official duty, my cousin's husband died. A drunk Nigerian soldier was sent to come and break the news for us. Mrs. Kozila, your husband is dead. You know, your husband is dead. It's public knowledge. Your husband is dead. And you know that after we buried the man, the in-laws came in with a truck to pack all that she had. 36-year-old woman, top-notch nurse. You mean she didn't have anything? So my cousin had to be bringing out receipts. Look, I bought this iron. I bought this. Look, I bought that. I had seen all that, and I don't want it for any woman. Anything can happen. Nobody prays the husband should die. We all have daughters. We don't wish. But when a woman is not economically empowered, our culture is not woman friendly yet. We're not there. So every woman that is wise should prepare herself and be able to be empowered for the sake of her destiny and the sake of her children.
Mommy, one of the most famous sayings in the Bible that we love as men is that we are the head of the house. So, what is the woman?
She's the neck. The woman is the neck.
The woman is the neck. No, we are the head. So where is the woman?
The neck.
The neck. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that constitute a burden on her? Is that why she's choked all the time?
No, so she has to turn. It is where she turns. It's where the neck turns the head that the head goes. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Chief, that yes, in the scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 11, the picture of the man being the head of the wife is painted. That is about leadership. At home, the man can be a boss at work, but when he comes home, he assumes the office of a leader.
Not a boss.
Not a boss. And the man, if you say the head, you know, if you look at the head, is the most sensitive part of one's body. The head is the most sensitive part. There you have the brain. There you have the eyes. You have the nose. You have the mouth. You have the ears. So all every aspect of the head is so important to the body that that's why the man has to know his role in the family. We used to tell ourselves that, for instance, my wife is just like my neck, my spinal cord, and blah, 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 and all that. Now, if the man knows his role as the one to protect, he goes ahead as the man. Think about what you can do to protect your family against any assault, against any incursion, against family attacks, and so on. And what does he do? As you are, in fact, you don't have to become 50 before you put down like a will that will explain how you want your properties to be shared. And your wife must be number one. It must be your priority and your children. So the man protects the family. He's the head. He protects the family. And so you cannot just be saying, I am the head. And you are neglecting the responsibilities of the head.
And you are oppressing.
And you are there as a boss instead of being the leader. Then also, the man is supposed to protect the wife and the children from, some of these problems we have now in the society. Then also, the man must provide. It does not matter how much the woman is earning, it is the responsibility of the man to provide at home. So if you are saying you are the head, then provide. So many people say, I am the head, I'm the head. Let us see what is on the table. What did you bring to the table? Let us see. You may not have all the millions, but at least you must show responsibility, assist. Because the wife too, he is your helper. The wife too can do something to assist you. Then also, the man, is one of his responsibilities is to prevent certain things from happening. You have to be proactive and so on. So I don't know whether I'm communicating, but you see, you prefer your wife, you prevent any evil from happening, and then you see ahead for your family. That's why you have the eyes. Then you smell if there's any evil coming. That's why we have the nose. Then you speak as a prophet to your family. If a man has become a burden, instead of praying for the family, he is now delegating everything to the wife. The wife will soon take over and become the head, because you have the mouth. You are not using it. No, there's no time when the family wants to pray that you are taking the lead. I am tired. I'm tired. I worked late yesterday. Is your wife not also working? And all that. So all of these things, sometimes we take undue advantage over our wives because we feel that, well, it is true the women are very strong. Women are stronger, actually, in terms of ability to resist and all that, but ability to bear. But men should not take it for granted. We should just do our own part and our own bit to remain the head, to remain as the head. Yes, not just sitting down as the head without doing anything. Because any head that is not doing some of the things that I said is just an empty head. Because, one can have a head that is not really doing anything. So I feel that is what I feel about headship.
But another source of conflict in most marriages, especially nowadays, is the issue of equality. So when you talk about equality, are there lines to be drawn?
First of all, talk about.
No, you should.
Yes, when we talk about equality, you know what? The Bible, let me say the Bible. I think the Quran too. I don't know. But the Bible talks about God making them male and female. He gave them power. He gave the two of them power. And then when he gave them the power or the dominion, not for the man to dominate the wife, but the two of them to be in control and dominate the other things that God has created. I used to make an analogy. I feel that, which is very practicable. If you are married to your wife, if you are married to your wife as a friend, these issues will not crop up. That, are you telling me now I don't know my right as the head of the family? Because if you are friends, really, I tell you, there will be no issues. Because if, for instance, I am, 66, when I proposed to her, when at that age, when I proposed to her, there was a gap of about 9 years.
So about 9 years, 10 years, almost 10 years.
No, 8.5.
Contesting, she's contesting.
January to June.
Anyway, even 8 years. She 8 years now. She could no, Anyway, what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is this: once you propose to a woman, if you are that old, even if you are older and you propose to a woman that is you're like a daughter to you, you have become that person's friend. You understand that kind of thing? So the issue of this is not there, because when God brought out the rib, He took the rib from Adam's body. I don't know how old Adam was, but I'm sure that the rib would be as old as Adam himself. So the rib that God used to create the woman, that Adam now called Eve, is the same bone that is as old as the age of Adam that He used in creating the wife, which is Eve. So I don't know why this difference and the manhood thing will now be saying, oh, you have to. If you know your roles, when you know your roles, there won't be issue of, oh, okay, she's what you Remi thing, you don't put me in my place as the head and all that. But we are not saying that women should lug it out with their husbands, or that they should now begin to see that, okay, nobody is in charge. Both of us are in charge. There must be somebody who is in charge, and that is the man. And the position is still there. God has made the man the head of the family, and that cannot be contested. But let us focus now on the roles. All these, I don't know, my wife doesn't believe in, because this is not what we practice at home. She doesn't believe in women, you can just be, you're at liberty to do whatever you like. No. We don't believe in all that. At least in every, they call something fellowship. In every ship, there is a captain. In every, on the plane, we have captains. So somebody who is in charge is the head, is the captain. And so that is what we believe, and that's what we teach. So there shouldn't be any issue about it, that maybe the man and the woman is inferior or the man is superior and all that.
The issue of provision has been a major factor in marriages, that the man should be able to provide. But how come most times it's the man who must provide and the woman feels it's my right for my husband to provide everything we need. I don't have to do anything. And then tomorrow, you still insist you are equal. You argue everything. Oh, go and wash your plate. So, what happens?
Now, I think our relationship and the roles we play sometimes can be, well, let me say, synergy. It must be like a synergy. We should work together. You understand what I mean? We must be able to work together. The role of a man, I tell you, should not be handed over to the role of to the woman. God didn't plan it that way. I feel that if the man, for instance, in what I believe about homes, you don't demand for your right as a man. You leave it. Let people know that you're in charge. There are certain things that as men, when we do it, we are happy. When we are doing certain things like we provide for our homes and we are happy. And if the woman now comes out to now tell us, and I want to tell you that when you give and you provide for the home, the woman is happy. She's not even willing to struggle anything with you. Any home that you see the woman trying to raise whatever, it means that the man has been irresponsible somehow, and maybe the woman is saying that the man has money and she is spending the money outside and nobody is feeling the effect at home. That is the reason why the woman's voice is saying to say, you are the one, you spent all your money out over people. Now, the food, we provided food. You also carry your plate, go and take the food. All those ones should not be. In the African setting, even the Bible culture does not permit a woman under such circumstances to be rebellious to the husband. But the husband too must not be irresponsible. They must treat their wives as queens because we are kings. But if you say you are not a king and you treat your wife like whatever, you discover that the woman will now begin to bite you or may begin to sting, because every woman is a bee. A woman can provide honey and also she can sting. So whatever aspect, the side that you feed, that's what. It is not usually the best to see women rise up to their husband and tell their husband, go to hell, go to places, go and take care of your whatever. But men too should not abuse and abuse their wives and treat their wives as if they are slaves. No, women are not slaves. I must say that. Women are not slaves. If a woman cooks for you and she makes the bed, she makes the home, she has a job. Oga, what are you doing? Can't you also at least assist in certain things? I do that at home. I assist my wife because I don't want to kill her. Because women, you know that they can be busy from morning till evening. So we should assist one another.
Sir, or maybe mommy can address this. We started talking about men abusing their wives. Are there abusive women? Have you had encounters with men who ran to you that my wife just beat me up at home? Have you had encounters like that, or is it only men that abuse women?
No, women also abuse men. Yeah. I remember one man called me one day and said, "Ma, my wife just slapped me." So
and what did he do, ma?
I had to intervene.
He turned the other cheek.
I had to first calm him down, please, because you will kill her if you want to go. And then I had to address the whatever. So, but it's very rare. We have more men abusing women, but there are some women that abuse men too. It may be as a reaction. Like my husband said, for a woman to be saying, well, there are fundamental issues. Something is wrong with that marriage. It's not normal. If you take a good care of your wife, she will never tell you, well, come on, I do MPO. Although there are some women that can be funny, but it's usually a reaction. So then if you are a very tiny man and you now marry a very hefty woman, a wrestler, whatever your eyes see. That's what. So we can have that too.
Wow. There is also this theory. Well, I think it's chauvinistic, but it's also very common. It's a common belief that women tend to be more erratic than men. And people explain it in terms of psychology, in terms of body hormones, and so on. For example, when you are in courtship, people, they will say, "Oh, the reason she is irritated is because you've not proposed to her. It seems you are wasting her time." And then when you propose, she misbehaves. Then they explain it that it's because the wedding is coming, so she's under pressure. Then when you finish the wedding, she misbehaves. Oh, then they say it's because she's not yet pregnant. And then when she gets pregnant and she misbehaves, they explain that, it's prenatal madness. And then when she delivers, then they say it's postnatal madness. So when will the madness end?
There are ideas in everything. My thought here is everybody wants a good home. Sometimes when you see issues like these, there are fundamental issues that give birth to such issues. I feel that no man is perfect. If I can tell you psychologically that we have 4 types of personalities. We have the sanguine, the choleric, we have the phlegmatic, and we have the melancholy. One is dominant than the other. And then it cuts across whether male or female. And when you see those issues come up, and when you see those habits come up in somebody, or you see the chemistry, of that person, you want to explain why. Is it because of so and so? No, that is the way that person is wired. If he controls it, people will look at they will look at it as if, oh, she's better, she's good. No, but when the real person manifests, you will know that, oh, so this is the real you. But you will think that, okay, it's something caused it. So sometimes you will discover that men sometimes, because the way we are wired, I feel that we can control our emotions. Women are more emotional, and they operate with feelings much more than men. So when a woman goes through an outburst of our emotions, a lot of things will happen. That's why men have to be able to control themselves so that they won't react to those emotional outbursts. They will help the woman at that moment, because the reason why so many men they go to the extent of abusing their wives physically is because they don't know that women are wired to talk. Women are talkers, and they will talk. There's nothing you can do. Men don't. Men are headliners. We don't talk too much. Even when we are discussing at home, it is the woman that will talk. A woman wants to make a statement. She takes you through merry-go-round before making a statement. That's the way they are wired. And if you listen to them, you cannot, even if you have a friction at home, you discover that you cannot win a battle against a woman, because by the time she presents her case, you will look like a fool yourself, and you will think, how? Because she will present it in such a way that you will look like, oh, so I did this thing. Truly, it's not good and all that. So what I'm saying is this, that we no particular what do I call it now? Temperament is better than the other. No, we have our weaknesses and we have our strength. And so when we have the other side of us manifesting, whether male or female, we should be able to control it. The most important thing is that if we are close to God we have the spirit-controlled temperament, and that also helps us to overcome some of these carnal things that we manifest all the time. Anybody can become mad anytime. Even when you are being joined on the altar, the priest knows that one day, one of them will be mad, and then there will be issues. So we just have to manage all these issues to be able to get to the finishing end. No marriage is perfect. We just have to contribute and do our best to keep the marriage together.
And there is a scientific explanation also. Yeah. When a woman is pregnant, if she's going to have a boy, in the 29th week of the pregnancy, the right hemisphere is affected, is tampered with. If it's going to be a girl, there's nothing that happens. A woman thinks with both hemispheres. A woman uses both hemispheres of her brain, the right and the left. The left is the logical, the reasonable, you're thinking. The right is the emotional. So there's a scientific explanation for why a woman is more emotional, or she expresses feelings and then she can talk, than a man. This is science. And that is why we are different in a minimum of 5 ways, male and female. Number one, we are different in the way we think. And it is scientific. A woman thinks fast, a man thinks deep. That is why a woman can do many things at the same time. She's cuddling the baby, she's cooking, she's doing this. A man usually cannot multitask the way a woman will multitask, because she juggles everything with the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere at the same time. A man doesn't do that. It's a male thing. It's a scientific thing. We are different in our sex life. A man's sex life is like a piece of paper. You just bring your matches. A woman's sex life is different. A woman's sex life is like charcoal. You have to fan it and fan it and fan it. So she needs foreplay. She even needs afterplay. The reason is a man's, and my husband and I did a course about the brain. What we're telling you is medical, is scientific. A man's life, and it has to do with his brain, is departmentalized. Departmentalized. And it comes from the brain. Departmentalized. This is business. This is marriage. This is church. This is this. You can't force my hand to give in church. I must think it. A man thinks deep. So when I come home and I say to my husband, darling, Mrs. Dele Momodu, I want you to do something. My husband is thinking the advantage, the disadvantage, the pro, the con. Me, I want to, because I have juggled it. I think faster. My husband thinks deeper because he's a man. Neither is inferior to the other. It's just the way we are made. God is awesome. We need the two. So we're different. A woman's life cannot be departmentalized. Everything is together. So if you spoke harshly to your wife at 6 a.m. when she woke up, and you want to make love to her at 3 p.m. or at 9 p.m., you've got to make sure that this is sorted. Because a man will go to the altar and say, oh, to Jesus, I surrender. He will surrender his problem. A woman will go to the altar and say, oh, to Jesus, I surrender. Jesus, amen. As she's leaving, she's carrying it back. She gets to the office, he's there. Because we are relational. When the man opened his eyes in the Garden of Eden, he saw job, work. Tend the garden, keep it. He saw it. When the woman opened her eyes, she saw relationship. Wow, This is now the bone of my bone and the flesh of my flesh. So you see a woman carry her husband's picture, her children's picture everywhere. You don't find that with a man. A woman is relationship. A man, relational. You know, a man defines himself by who he is. I am Dele Momodu, the publisher of, I am Felix-Adejumo, the president of. A woman tells you, I am Funke Felix-Adejumo, the wife of. Before she realizes what she's saying, the wife of. Now, the times are changing. Women are now becoming career conscious. I am the CEO of Ziso Bank and all that. But majority of women, this is how we define ourselves. So our lives cannot be departmentalized. Everything. A woman's life is like the hub of a wheel. Everything is connected. Everything. Your cousin shouted at me, so I can't have sex with you until we sort it out. You didn't give me well, you know. She connects everything. A man in 10 minutes after a friction, a man is ready for sex. A woman is not. It is what you know me. Because a woman forgives slowly, but she trusts quickly. Wow. A man forgives quickly, but he trusts slowly. What difference? For men's own. It's just like we don't have a name for men's own. The madness continues, quote unquote. Prenatal, postnatal, the men too have their own. But what triggers this is different. What triggers anger in your husband is different from what triggers anger in me. When a man doesn't have money, when a man cannot meet the needs, the man is tense. I'm 45. I need a second house. You know, the woman is thinking, Christmas is coming. What shall we wear? We're different. We're not inferior. We're not superior, but we are different. And that's the beauty of marriage. That's the beauty of life. Just understand the differences and enjoy and flow. That's it.
Wow, mommy. Okay, let's talk more about the issue of childlessness in marriage. I think it's one of the toughest things that can happen in any marriage. But more often than not, especially in Africa, I wrote my master's thesis on the oppression of women in Africa, and there are places where a woman suffers so much indignity, you can't even begin to imagine it. And they blame the woman for everything. And many times it's the man who is infertile, who is not able to. So how do you deal with situations like that, especially in your ministry? Do you advise that the woman should get the man to go for a test, to check his sperm count, to do all those things? Because some men are very sensitive. Who told you I'm not fertile? Who told you I'm not? And then because of male ego, the trouble continues.
And chauvinism. Our society is not fair to women. Many times. And thank God the times are gradually changing. God has raised people like my husband, like you now. See what you wrote about the oppression of women. The voice is still not loud enough, but at least we thank God that people are speaking out now, because you are the fathers, you have daughters-in-law, and you don't want your children, your daughters, to be treated the way you. Oh no. One woman told me, you won't believe this, Chief, that when she was looking for a baby, she went to somebody that said, go to the backyard. I'll be having my bath now, collect the water. She collected the water, brought it, prophet, quote and unquote, brought the water in. The man divided it into three, told her, drink this part. Take this one to go and cook. I will use this one to make something for you. You have no idea what women go through. And sometimes it is just that the man should do a test. So now people are talking about it. And we're not there yet, but it's better. It's really better. In our ministry, we counsel with the two of them, and we believe that God can use the miraculous and the medical. That's what my husband and I believe. So we have even sponsored IVF for people. We believe in it. God raised doctors, and they are gifts of God. They know what to do. So there's nothing wrong. Go for medical treatment. Do IVF if that's what you need, or IUI, or whatever. Because, like my father will say, it is in the evening that the pain of childlessness shows most. So while the sun shines, there's nothing wrong with seeking. And I think more men should speak to men about this, because it is just the African ego.
Yeah. Perfect.
Well, what other options are available? Sometimes IVF does not work, surrogacy does not work. So what are the other options that
Adoption.
you would...
Adoption, for instance, we have an orphanage, and we give up children, although the queue is very long. I remember the first child we gave up for adoption is now an American citizen. So, and I can recommend places where people can go. So if you don't have the privilege of carrying your own pregnancy, there are many children. There was a time I was in Uganda, 50 children were waiting in one orphanage for adoption. They needed, so all around the world we have. And who knows, as you sow into the life of these children, God can decide to even open your womb. So adoption is, and thank God people are getting it now.
Someone is asking if surrogacy is biblical.
Bishop.
Well, just like we said, we can either go medical or we go the miraculous. If you don't believe in medical, don't bother about surrogacy, because you do not, even if you want to do it, you will still feel condemned that why will I do it? And you won't have an emotional attachment to that child, because you would think that is not really your child. So it's better you people believe God, that God will do your own. And God has answered. God has given children to people who do not have womb. We know that God has visited people who do not have fallopian tubes or ovaries. God has done that. And if you have faith in God, God can do it. But if you know you are going to go medical, consider also anything that comes through that. In other words, let your mind be open to it. There's nothing. Children are actually the gifts from God. They are the heritage of the Lord. In Psalm 127, he said, children are God's heritage. The fruit of the womb is his reward. So we are just partners with God. Can I tell you, sir, that immediately we leave this world, that is the end. Whether we have children or we don't have children, we are cut off. We are in another place completely in heaven. So nobody is thinking, oh, who is taking charge? They're taking care of my business. Who is taking care of this? The man is gone. You understand? So it is a privilege to have children, and we will have. But don't say because you don't have children, you want to, everything is over. No. Life does not end with that. So if you like medical, be open to it. If you don't want medical, you want the miraculous, God can answer your prayer and he will do it.
And talking about surrogacy and saying, is it biblical? Many times, some things are not in the Bible. Why is it written in the Bible that you must take injection? Why is it written in the Bible that you must do some things? So the Bible says in 1 Corinthians, nature teaches decency. So it is the people that are in these shoes that know how it feels. If that is what will give you joy, I have my kids. I will not disturb you and use religious conditioning to say, oh, it's not biblical. Says who? Says who? And the same people will now turn around and be using it against you. You don't have a child, and all that. And please stop telling your matters. If that's what you want to do, our culture is not mature enough. You don't need to be telling everybody. Go ahead, do whatever you want to do. Have your baby. Love the baby. That's your baby. That's your baby. So that's our take on it. And sometimes because you are not in the shoes, you can just judge and condemn people. Says who? Do whatever you and your husband or wife feel.
The fear many people have about surrogacy is in case the carrier of the baby turns back to say, this is my baby, I want to claim my baby. That's the fear.
And there are legal aspects to it.
There are legal aspects to that. That's why I said that if you are ready for it, go through it. There is nothing wrong in it. God is just using an avenue to bring children to this world. And then once they are here, you know that God is just partnering with any of us to bring these children. A man and a woman can give birth to children, not a man and man, not a woman and woman. It's a man and a woman. And so surrogacy, it's, you know what it means. So if the legal things is tied up, there's nothing wrong in it.
Still on the issue of babies, there are some cultures where if a woman does not have a male child, and you have 6 daughters, 7 daughters, it's a problem. It can sometimes even lead to the man taking another wife. How does one deal with that?
Yeah, I think people are getting more enlightened now. It has to do with our culture, African culture. But people are getting out of that right now. People are getting enlightened. A child is a child, whether male or female. And but in some families, they still insist. And that's why the women are like, they go beyond their normal number of children. So they want male children. So they go and on and on and on. Because of that, they can even die as a result of just wanting more, because they need a male child. Anyone God gives us, we cannot manufacture ourselves. We must be grateful to God, whether male or female. And it is the man that determines the sex of a child, not the woman. The woman is just an incubator, a carrier. But it's the man, whatever the man deposits, that is what is going to come out of the woman. So we must not blame women for not having male children. No, not at all. It is the man that determines the sex of a child.
Wow. Okay, my last question on babies now. That is a new problem and is a major problem in the world. Science. I called it 3 times, sir, because a lot of men live with their wives. Everything seems okay. Then suddenly you discover that one of the babies or all of your babies are not yours. What do you recommend?
It's a tough one. It borders on faithfulness on the side of the man or the woman, depending on where the thing is coming from. But it is not even the child that is the problem, but the problem of the unfaithfulness of the woman. Infidelity. Infidelity. It's a question of I cannot even trust you. When such a thing happens, sir, it can affect the home and they can break because of that. Because I've seen a particular family, they have been together for about 25 years. 25 years, and then when they the woman had a child before, and they assumed that the girl was just a junior sister to the wife, and the woman did not tell her husband that was my daughter, and the girl didn't know also. After a very long time, she got to know that was my mom. So when the girl was going to marry, that was the time the man got to know that was my wife's daughter, and that was how the home broke.
The wedding day.
The wedding day. The wedding day of that girl. That was when the marriage broke. So anybody can make mistakes, but when you make such mistakes, please own up, discuss it. If the man is willing to forgive, he will forgive and move on and take care of the children. We have seen some cases where the man does not have a child. The woman brought all the children from wherever she's coming from, and the man took them as his own, and he takes care. But at least the man must be told that this is the source of these children. If he now likes to do it, to take care of the children, he can go ahead and do it. So trust is the issue.
And that is very, very devastating for a man to suddenly realize that he's got 4 children and 3 of them, or 2, or even 1, It's killing. This is the reality. It's killing. A man can go mad. A man can commit suicide. A man can kill. A man can murder. So that tells us that there are fundamental problems and issues in marriages. That means that adultery took place along the line. So, and the Bible says that if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? So instead of, now that we are saying that, hey, science is giving us problem, let's trace it. At what point did the woman go out to commit adultery?
No, mommy, sometimes a lady is about to get married, and during that time, she's still double dating. And then suddenly a man can come now and say, I want to marry you. And then she dumps the previous boyfriend, or still continues for as long as it takes. Like you said, women are more emotionally attached to people and things. So in situations like that, it is possible that within that split of a second, it came from someone else while believing it's for the husband. So if DNA then proves later, you can't call it adultery totally, because she was not yet technically married as at that time. So those are the complications that I'm talking about. How does one deal with that?
Now they are abusing pastors. In our church, we do pregnancy tests before wedding. So if there is a pregnancy test and you know you did not sleep with this girl, we can begin to query how, what happened. So you see, I just spoke in the context of marriage, and I was going to come to what is going on in our society. This society is sick, very sick. Now we have baby mama, we have daddy mama, we have papa mama. Now you can live in partners, live in lovers. These are the implications when a society tells God that, God, we don't need you. These are the complications. This is it. The marital bed is no longer respected. You can sleep with anybody. You can be living there, and then you do marriage later. You do wedding later. You see, now we are seeing the effects now, and see the pain that this is bringing on all of us. See the shame. So we need to create more awareness that our youths need to understand that they need to be more godly. As a woman, stop sleeping around. As a man, stop messing around. There is profit in godliness. There is profit in righteousness. When God tells you not to do these things, it's even for your own sake. Look at the different diseases that we have in the world, sexually transmitted. Now we're saying, so you see, if we have not legalized sex outside marriage, it doesn't matter. What are they talking about? We may not probably get into this kind of a thing. It may not be popular, but righteousness exalts.
Now, what is your attitude as a ministry to premarital sex? I have a second part to it, mommy and daddy. There is also the theory that it is necessary for a woman and a man to know if they are sexually compatible before marriage. So how does one deal with that? Some churches will say you should not have sex, which is not always very practical. It is not, especially in modern times. Maybe in the times of our mothers, maybe they were virgins. But now I'm sure, and maybe 90% practice premarital sex. And the excuse is that I want to know if I am compatible with my partner.
Yeah, we got to where we are today in our society because we violate God's laws. And that is the reason why we are seeing what we are seeing. And it is for the benefit of those who want to get married, not to go into premarital sex, it will be beneficial to them. If they don't know, it will be, they are listening. Some of them are listening now. Because you see, it is not only because of sex that you go into marriage. Marriage is for friendship, for partnership, for companionship. It is not only for sex. If it's just for sex, you don't need to get married. You can go and do it with anybody. You can do it with a prostitute. You can do it. That is what you are actually asking or looking for. So sex is just one of the reasons. It's not the only reason for marriage. So you can, if you want to, that's why we don't also support long time courtship. If you know you cannot control yourself, then go and marry instead of just doing it before the wedding. What else do you want? Is it not because you want to enjoy this thing with your wife? That's why you said you want to marry your wife. Then marry your wife and settle down and do it as many times as you want. No restrictions. And you see, the problem premarital sex may have is at the end of the day, when the woman is jettisoned, the woman is the one that suffers more because the man will move on. And then he will add to the number of people he has tasted or slept with, all in the name of, I want to be sure we are sexually compatible. Marriage is by faith. You marry by faith. And if you don't even believe in that, then you can go and do whatever checks you need to go and do to be sure that you are okay before you go into it. But since you said that is what happens these days, in our church, we don't preach premarital sex. We don't encourage premarital sex. If they do it without our knowledge. And you can't follow them to everywhere they want to go. But they know that that is not our stand, because fornication is a sin. Premarital sex is a sin. God hates it, and God does not like it.
So when we talk about sexual compatibility, so if the man sleeps with you now and then you get married, we are compatible, let's go. 3 years after he becomes impotent, what happens? What happens? Who loses? So you see, it may look like, old school. What are they talking about? It's not real and all that. We need, and parents need to start this thing, because many women are so heartbroken. I get to hear a lot of stories. He slept with me, and then eventually that thing is killing. So let's begin to go back. These things that we think in the olden days, it's working. Do you notice that in the olden days, before you marry, they will help you check the family, know whether this person is mad or they have leprosy or they have epilepsy. These days, do you see cousins getting married? You see that's what our world has turned to. But it doesn't matter how popular it is. Society will always label what society does not understand. I believe that righteousness still exalts. It doesn't matter.
Well, you've just mentioned something now, and I have a follow-up question to it. They get married, they are in their 30s, then suddenly the man falls sick or whatever, he becomes impotent. What would you recommend to the woman?
Now, the woman has to stay with the man and trust God and believe God that the man will be okay. But there are also medical solutions. There are medical solutions to it, that you can still have your manhood back if you treat, maybe because of one infection or the other. That is the reason why this has happened. So they have to go.
No, to be an accident, sir. It could be an accident. If you have a spinal injury and you've lost your waist downwards, what would the woman do for the rest of her life?
So should she abandon the man?
If the man is still alive.
So in terms of sexual, which is necessary in marriage, now the man is an invalid. It's not his fault. He can't do anything about it forever and ever. So would the woman become celibate forever and ever?
Chief,
that practical?
Chief Dele, can you answer that question, please?
No, you are the expert. I'm giving you some of the questions I'm getting from people, because people are saying that there are situations that are beyond your control. So would you recommend that the husband should understand that at least this one is not infidelity, it's not deliberate?
So
it is
they have
inevitable.
to dissolve the marriage or what? Because they have
So,
to sit down and talk. So should she be going out, or they will now bring one man to be servicing her while the man is in the other room?
What I would recommend, if the man will take it, is to free the woman. To free the woman and let the woman go and get married.
Go and
have her own life.
But the woman wants to stay and take care of the father of her children.
That's
what she wants. So is it possible for a man, I don't know how to put it, to loan his wife?
No, it's not possible. No, it's not.
Why because you can't eat your cake and have it.
So if she wants to stay and take care of the man,
it's a sacrifice
she's making. So she has to stay. And then we have to commend her for that. But she cannot now go out and then have sexual relationship with other people and then coming back to the house to say you are taking care of the man. Will be
psychologically.
Yeah. We not be well. In fact, it can also contribute to So it's better the man releases it.
But you must face a lot of these complex problems. So that's why I'm asking. How do you deal with these complexities?
That's why we said the two of them must agree. Can two work together except they be agreed? Whatever they agree is what did we do. But I feel that it's better for them, if a situation like this comes up, for the man to release the woman.
But if the woman says, I don't want to leave, then she needs to count the cost.
Yes, she has to count the cost.
Because do you want to be bringing a man in? What will be happening while you are having sex with the man? Your husband is in the room. What? And now you say you are taking care. It's just not practical. So if both of them, if the woman thinks that she cannot do without sex, let them talk about it and then
go separate ways.
Yes.
And then she can also come, like, help the woman, help the man. But already the man knows that she's married to another person.
But she knows that she's young.
Biblically, is it possible, biblically, to approve divorce in the church? When they say, when what you find is for better or for worse, can you biblically approve divorce?
Yeah, there are pros and cons. There are school of thoughts that said that, according to what Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, that if there is an issue of infidelity, or maybe you discover that the other person they refer to like as an unbeliever, if the person that is called an unbeliever and you are not, if he wants to go, that the person is allowed, the person can go, or she can go, she can leave the person, she can leave the man or leave the woman. But usually, God made us male and female, and once we are married, he expects us to stay together. Even Jesus Christ told them that from the onset, it wasn't like that there will be divorce. He said, Moses gave you that law of divorcement because of your attitude towards God and all that. So your behavior towards God. So now, but it wasn't so. So what I'm saying is this, that God does not like us to leave when we are married. But if a situation happens and then you cannot control it, for instance, we are talking about abuse, physical abuse, when you know that your life is in danger, and one is now requesting that the marriage should be dissolved, there's nothing wrong with it, because it's better for you to live, to still continue to live, than for you to die without fulfilling your purpose here on earth. But
does abusive relationship warrant a divorce?
You see, there's no blanket general answer. We have to take the situation, counsel with them, walk them through it. And what we usually do first and foremost is safety. Let's take the abused person into safety first. Let's listen. Let's ask questions. Let's ask the family. Let's ask, Is this something we can do? Let's ask therapists. Let's do that. There are cases that we've been able to walk them through, but there are cases that we couldn't resolve. In fact, if we were the ones that, if we were the parents of that girl, we will say, for instance, Chief, a lady sent a text message to me and says, I have caught my husband 3 times trying to use our daughter. They're newly married. I think their marriage is about 3 years, and they have 1 baby. Trying to use our daughter for money rituals. I caught him and I confronted him, and he says to me, Ma Binu, don't worry, we will have another one now. We will have another one. Let's use this one and be wealthy. Now you see, will I tell that girl, if she were my biological daughter, will I tell her to stay in that relationship? So I said to her, now that the man has even known, the man is going to use her eventually. That's the truth. So the times have changed. That's why we no longer just stand on the pulpit and say, you cannot divorce. You know, we don't preach that. We look critically, wisely at each situation. If your life is at stake, we have tried, the person is not changing, a lot of things are in place and all that, go your separate ways. That's how we handle the cases.
Okay, if a woman in your church, she's never been married, she's in her 40s, and suddenly she meets a man and gets pregnant, but the man happens to have a wife, what should happen?
We have to treat it as, we are not going to give a general whatever. We have to, first of all, treat it as a peculiar situation. That, okay, this, you are going to scatter that another person's marriage, and you are pregnant. Take care, give birth to your child, but that does not make you that man's wife. So when you take care of her and then look for your own husband, because that man is already married, it was because of your lack of control. That's why you gave in, and then you became pregnant for that man. So what we cancel that person, if it were somebody that came to us and she's 40 years old, is that you strayed. Just consider it as you have strayed away and you are coming back. If the person believes, if the person is he's holding the same belief that we have, that means that he's a Christian. We're not talking about somebody who he lives just a vague life. You understand? So what we are going to tell the person is that give birth to that child, take care of your child, let the man be responsible, but no more sexual relationship with the man. Don't scatter that man's home. Don't scatter his marriage.
Chief,
What?
Polygamy,
Okay,
polygamy. It is the people that have tasted it that know the pains in polygamy. Tell me one woman, one first wife that didn't suffer with her husband. And then it's our culture. So one morning, 3 people comes from my husband's family, God forbid, and then they say, hey, you are not soon now, soon. You know, there's no way you can walk, and your head will not. Your husband made a mistake. Take. Look at it. It's our culture. So polygamy is not what should be encouraged, whether we're Christians or not. The woman that is in the house, if she were to be my daughter or my sister, will I wish that will happen to her? And any man that can marry a second wife can marry a third wife and a fourth wife and a fifth wife. So this person should just get ready for trouble. It is the fact. It is the reality.
Wow. You won't believe it, Daddy and Mommy, we've spent exactly 2 hours now.
Oh my God. Goodbye, Chief Dele, Momodu.
Yes, because I was fully prepared, for loaded questions and all the complexities that I have compiled. And I must thank you so much, because we've gained a lot of practical knowledge. You see, a lot of pastors will come, they will quote the Bible copiously without looking at the surrounding situations, peculiar situations, in every individual or marriage. I want to thank you most sincerely for this great opportunity, and I'm hoping that one of these days again might be an innovation event. Maybe we want to do a seminar for women, because marriage is a very major issue in our lives. So I want to thank you, sir, and I want to thank you, Mommy, for this great. And I don't know if there are other words or you want to pray for us. We will tap into the blessing. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Chief. We are so grateful to you also for the privilege to be involved in this great work that God has put in your hands to do.
Yes.
We are trusting God that God who helped us will help those who are listening to us.
Amen.
And that they will have marital bliss.
Amen.
They will enjoy their own homes. They will have testimonies. Their children will become mighty upon the face of the earth.
Amen.
And their future will be so great.
Amen.
That's my prayer for everyone today, in Jesus' mighty name.
Amen. And we bless you and your family too. The Lord will protect you, shield you, grant your heart desires in Jesus' name.
Amen.
And give you good daughters-in-law, because I notice it's only a boy you have. Wow. That cannot be selfish. Why now?
We tried.
Thank
We
you,
tried,
sir.
Mommy. We tried. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. We'll end with music again, and that will be. Thank you, Mom.
I cannot tell it all. If I had 10,000 hearts, it still wouldn't be enough. People that want my relief, when you get them, come leave me. To pull my rope before. For he has done so very much. What shall I render to Jehovah? For he has done so very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Have a lovely evening. Thank you, Daddy.
Bye.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.